You punctured their inflated narcissistic ego like a cheap balloon, leaving them utterly stunned. They never saw it coming. They had built their world around their own reflection, a world where they were the center, the sun around which everything revolved. Their sense of superiority, their false belief in their untouchability, had made them a god in their own eyes. But the reality of their fragile arrogance was exposed in a single moment, and in that instant, you shattered their constructed world. They stood there, eyes wide with disbelief, grappling with a reality that had never been part of their warped perception. The empire they had carefully crafted out of their own narcissism had crumbled to dust in front of their eyes, and there was nothing they could do to rebuild it. In this world, many are trained to feed the egos of those around them. We live in a society that celebrates self-importance, that reveres the grandiose and the inflated. People are taught that their worth lies in their image, in how others see them, in how they present themselves to the world. The culture of narcissism runs rampant, making people believe that their every whim, every desire, every thought is sacred. They are told they are special, unique, that they are somehow above the rest. But beneath this glossy facade lies a frail and fragile ego, a mask that hides deep insecurities and vulnerabilities. And all it takes is a single puncture, a single crack, to bring it all crumbling down. You didn't need to raise your voice. You didn't need to humiliate them in public or make a scene. The power of your move lay in the simplicity of it, in the quiet, cutting blow that hit them when they least expected it. There is no greater force in this world than truth, and truth is ruthless. It doesn't care about feelings. It doesn't care about fragile egos or pride. It simply exists, unyielding, and when it cuts through, it does so without hesitation, without remorse. And in that moment, when you punctured their ego, the truth struck them like a sledgehammer, and their world shattered into irreparable pieces. They tried to put on a front. They tried to salvage the remnants of their illusion, but it was too late. The damage had been done. They could no longer pretend they were invincible, that they were untouchable. The cracks in their facade were now too wide to ignore, and for the first time, they were forced to confront the reality of their own weakness. You had shown them who they truly were. Beneath the layers of arrogance, beneath the layers of self-absorption, they were nothing more than a fragile human being, vulnerable to the same harsh truths that they had spent their entire lives avoiding. What you did wasn't an act of malice. It wasn't an act of vengeance. It wasn't even a move driven by anger. No, it was simply a manifestation of something much more powerful, the raw and unrelenting force of reality. You didn't have to make them feel small. They already felt small deep down, buried beneath the mask of inflated self-worth they had created for themselves. They were weak, they were insecure, and they were terrified of being exposed. And in that single moment, when you pierced their delusion, you allowed them to see their own nakedness. You stripped them of their armor, and for the first time, they were exposed to the truth of their own inadequacy. In that moment, they may have hated you. They may have resented you for revealing their weakness, for showing the world that they were not the invincible being they had led everyone to believe. But deep down, there was a part of them that knew, a part of them that understood. What you had done was not just an attack on their ego, but a wake-up call. You had given them a glimpse of the truth, and whether they admitted it or not, that truth would haunt them forever. It would eat away at them, gnawing at their soul, leaving them restless and unsettled. And now they must live with it. They must live with the knowledge that they are no longer the untouchable figure they once thought they were. They must come to terms with the fact that they are not invulnerable, that their ego is not as impenetrable as they believed. and in the quiet corners of their mind, they will replay that moment over and over again, unable to escape the sting of reality. They will question themselves, they will doubt themselves, and they will wonder how they ever allowed themselves to get so lost in their own delusion. But while they struggle with their newfound vulnerability, you stand strong. You stand above the wreckage of their shattered ego, unscathed, unbothered by the chaos you have caused. You know the power you hold, the strength that lies in the ability to speak the truth, to expose the lies that people wrap around themselves like a comfort blanket. You know that once you reveal the truth, once you shatter the illusion, there is no going back. You have broken them, and they will never be the same. But this is not about destruction for the sake of destruction. It's about awakening. It's about breaking free from the chains of illusion that people bind themselves with. You see, too many people live their lives trapped in their own egos, trapped in their own image. They cannot see beyond their own reflection. They cannot see the truth because the truth is uncomfortable. The truth forces them to face the parts of themselves they would rather ignore. It forces them to confront their own flaws, their own failures, their own inadequacies. And for most, this is too much to bear. They would rather live in the illusion, in the fantasy that they are perfect, that they are untouchable, that they are beyond reproach. But you are the one who has shattered that illusion. You didn't do it to destroy them. You did it to help them see who they really are, to help them confront the truth. Because only in that moment of raw vulnerability can they begin to grow. Only when they are forced to face their own weaknesses can they start to rebuild themselves. But this time, it will not be an ego built on falsehoods. This time, it will be a foundation built on self-awareness, on self-acceptance, and on humility. The truth has a way of transforming people, even when they resist it. It forces them to change, to evolve, to become something greater than they were before. The ego may be shattered, but from the rubble, something new can emerge, something real, something authentic. And it is in that authenticity that true power lies. You didn't just take away their false sense of superiority. You gave them the chance to become better. You gave them the chance to break free from the chains of their own ego and become something more than just a reflection of themselves. So don't apologize for what you did. Don't feel guilty for puncturing their ego. You did what needed to be done. You did what most people are too afraid to do. You held up a mirror to their face and showed them the truth, no matter how painful it was. And in doing so, you freed them from the prison they had built around themselves. Now, they must decide whether to rebuild or to remain a slave to their own arrogance. But whatever they choose, they will never forget that moment. They will never forget the moment you shattered their illusion and showed them who they truly were. Because that is the power of truth. That is the power of honesty. And in that power, you are unbreakable. And as they struggle with the aftermath of their shattered ego, as they try to piece together the fragments of their identity, you stand tall, knowing that you have done what was necessary. You didn't just destroy their ego for the sake of destruction. You did it to wake them up, to make them face their own demons, and to give them the opportunity to evolve. It was a painful process, but sometimes growth only comes through pain. Sometimes the only way forward is through the destruction of what came before. And in that destruction, something new, something real can emerge. You have given them that chance. You have given them the opportunity to rebuild from the ground up. And in the end, that is what matters. Not the ego, not the false sense of superiority, but the raw, unvarnished truth that lies beneath it all. That is where true power is found. And you are the one who has shown them that power. You have punctured their inflated narcissistic ego like a cheap balloon, and in doing so, you have given them the chance to rise again. In that moment, You've done what few others are brave enough to do. You've set the stage for something extraordinary, something that might not be apparent to them right now, but will eventually unfold in ways they cannot yet comprehend. In puncturing their ego, you've destroyed the illusion that they have carefully crafted, but at the same time, you've created an opening, a gateway for something deeper, more meaningful to emerge. But this is not something that comes easily, and it's certainly not something they will be thankful for in the immediate aftermath. The destruction you've caused will feel like a wound, a gash that won't easily heal. But wounds, when treated correctly, can lead to growth, to strength, and to renewal. You see, the truth has this strange ability. It can rip through the veil of pretense, tearing down everything in its path. It doesn't care about the delicate feelings of those who have spent years weaving their lies, their self-deceptions. The truth doesn't care about how beautiful someone's illusion looks. It is ruthless. It is relentless. And though it causes pain in the moment, that pain is merely a signal of something larger at work, something bigger, something more profound. That pain is the beginning of the transformation. It is the catalyst for the metamorphosis that will follow. And though it might feel unbearable, it is the only way forward. When their ego was punctured, when their carefully constructed image was shattered, they were left exposed and vulnerable. But in that vulnerability lies the potential for change. There is something deeply human about the need to rebuild, to reconnect with one's true self. When the mask falls away, when the layers of pretense are removed, the individual is forced to confront themselves in ways they have avoided for a long time. They must face their fears, their doubts, their insecurities, all the things they've spent years hiding from. But this is the very moment where they have the opportunity to finally grow, to rise above the shallow, ego-driven existence they have clung to for so long. In giving them this chance, you are offering them the possibility of real authenticity. You've shown them the fragility of their false self, and now they must rebuild from the rubble. The question is, will they be able to do it? Will they have the strength to face the truth and rebuild their identity, not from a place of arrogance, but from a place of humility? It is not easy to break free from the suffocating grip of narcissism. It is a battle that requires courage, self-awareness, and the willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about oneself. And while it is not guaranteed that they will take the right path, they now have the opportunity to do so. They will either rise to the challenge or remain shackled by their old self-importance. But you, in your boldness, have given them the chance to choose. And that is more than most can say. Understand that change, true change, does not happen overnight. It is a slow process, a gradual unfolding. The ego that you punctured may not deflate immediately. It may still linger in the shadows, quietly whispering to them that they need to rebuild their sense of superiority, that they need to restore the image they've lost. But you have planted a seed that will eventually take root. The pain of their shattered ego will persist for a while, gnawing at them. But if they are wise, they will begin to understand that this pain is not something to be avoided. It is something to be embraced, something to be examined. Only through this painful process will they be able to transform into something greater than they were before. They will fight it. They will resist the idea that they need to change. Ego is a powerful thing. It has a way of making people cling to their sense of identity, even when that identity is built on lies. But you've already shown them the cracks in their armor. You've already exposed the weakness they have tried to bury. And though they might resist it now, though they might lash out in an attempt to restore their former sense of power, the seed you planted will not be easily uprooted. It will stay with them, nagging at the edges of their consciousness, forcing them to reconsider who they are and what they stand for. Over time, they will have moments of reckoning. There will be nights when they lie awake, staring at the ceiling, reflecting on what you did to them. They will remember the way their ego was deflated, the way their sense of self was torn apart, and they will wonder how they ever allowed themselves to become so lost in the illusion of their own importance. And in those moments of quiet reflection, they will either succumb to the temptation to rebuild their ego in the same way, or they will allow themselves to evolve. They will either become more entrenched in their arrogance, or they will accept the truth you revealed to them and begin the process of true self-discovery. The journey toward authenticity is not an easy one. It is fraught with challenges, obstacles, and moments of doubt. But it is also a journey of incredible power. To move beyond the ego, to free oneself from the prison of self-obsession, is to discover a new sense of strength, one that is rooted not in external validation, but in internal truth. It is a strength that comes from knowing who you are, from being comfortable in your own skin, from accepting your flaws as much as your strengths. And it is this kind of strength that you have given them the opportunity to cultivate. But you must also understand that the process of change is not something you can control. You can only show them the door. You can only offer them the chance to walk through it. Whether they take that step is up to them. The truth you revealed to them is undeniable, but how they respond to it is a matter of choice. You cannot force them to change, and you cannot dictate how long it will take for them to embrace that change. But what you can do is stand firm in your own conviction. You can continue to walk the path of authenticity and self-awareness, and in doing so, you will serve as an example of what is possible. You will show them that it is not only possible to rise above the ego, but it is essential for true growth. As they struggle with the remnants of their deflated ego, you can watch from a distance, knowing that you have done your part. You have shattered the illusion. You have stripped away the layers of pride and self-importance. Now, the ball is in their court. You've set the stage for something beautiful to emerge, but only they can choose whether or not to step into the light. There will be times when they may attempt to rebuild the walls they've lost, to recreate the image they once had, but the cracks will remain. They will never be the same again. The foundation of their ego has been cracked, and no amount of patchwork can fully restore it to its former state. It is in this fractured state that true transformation begins. It is in the cracks that the light gets in, and it is through the cracks that they have the chance to grow. You have given them the opportunity to rise. You have given them the chance to rebuild, but only if they are willing to confront the truth, to step into the discomfort, and to face the rawness of their own vulnerability. This is not a process for the faint of heart. It is a difficult, challenging, and often painful journey, but it is a journey worth taking. For in the end, what they will find on the other side is something far greater than the illusion they once clung to. They will find a self that is real, a self that is grounded in truth, and a self that is far more powerful than any ego could ever be. The choice is theirs now, and you, in your boldness, have given them the chance to rise above the ego. You have offered them the possibility of something greater, and whether they take that opportunity or not, you can stand tall, knowing that you have done something far more significant than simply puncturing their ego. You have offered them the chance to transform, to evolve, and to become something truly extraordinary. And in doing so, you have also set yourself free from the shackles of their inflated self-importance. Because in the end, true power lies not in ego, not in dominance, but in the courage to face the truth, to confront the reality of who we are, and to rise from the ashes of our former selves. This is the most profound and sacred journey any human being can embark upon, to rise from the remnants of who you once were. An illusion, a mask, a mirage, and step into the raw, unfiltered truth of who you truly are is an act of unimaginable power. Most never take this step, Most remain in the safe, comfortable prison of their own ego, too afraid to venture beyond the walls they have constructed. But you, in puncturing their inflated sense of self, have created the possibility for them to step out of that prison. And in that moment, they stand at the precipice of something new, something beyond the confines of their former existence. But the question remains, will they take the leap, or will they remain bound by the chains of their own narcissism, too afraid to face the person they truly are? Rising from the ashes is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process, an evolution that happens piece by piece, day by day. It is the steady stripping away of all that is false, all that is superficial, and the courageous embrace of the parts of ourselves that we have long denied. The ego, as powerful as it may seem, is nothing more than a construct, a fragile structure built upon the need for external validation, for approval, for control. But beneath that structure lies the real person, the one who is not defined by the opinions of others, the one who is not dependent on the image they project to the world. This is the self that is untouched by the winds of judgment, untainted by the fickleness of the world around us. But to reach this point, to truly rise from the ashes of the self we once were, we must first be willing to face the truth, no matter how painful it may be. In their moment of vulnerability, after you have punctured their ego, they are now at a crossroads. This is the critical moment of transformation. They have been forced to confront their own fragility, to witness the impermanence of the image they so desperately clung to. They have seen how quickly the world can crumble, how easily the illusion of invincibility can be shattered. They stand on the precipice of change, and they must now choose. Will they rise, or will they retreat back into the comfort of the ego they once knew? This is not a decision that comes easily. It is one that requires immense courage, one that requires the willingness to step into the unknown, to strip away the protective layers and embrace vulnerability. But this is the only way forward. The only way to truly transcend the ego is to embrace the vulnerability that comes with authenticity. When we let go of the false self, we are exposed, stripped bare, and it is in this state of rawness that we discover our true strength. It is not the strength of the ego, the strength that comes from dominance or control, but the strength of being fully, unapologetically ourselves. This is the power that resides in every individual, the power that is buried beneath the layers of pretense, and it is this power that has the potential to transform everything. But to access it, they must be willing to let go of the illusion, to release the need for validation and control, and to surrender to the truth of who they are. For some, this will be a terrifying process. The fear of the unknown, the fear of stepping into a world without the comforting armor of the ego, can be overwhelming. They may long for the old, familiar feeling of superiority, the sense of invincibility that the ego provided. They may want to retreat back into their comfortable, self-centered world, where everything is about them, where they are always right, always in control. But this is not where true freedom lies. True freedom is found in surrender, in letting go of the need to control and manipulate the world around us, and instead embracing the uncertainty of life with an open heart. This is the essence of rising from the ashes, the willingness to let go of everything we thought we knew, everything we thought we were, and step into the unknown with courage and faith. It is the acceptance that the old self is no longer enough, that the illusion of power and control can never bring us true happiness or fulfillment. We must burn away the old self, allowing it to be consumed by the fire of truth, so that something new can emerge from the ashes. And this process of rebirth is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey, a journey that demands constant self-reflection, constant growth, and a deep commitment to living authentically. But rising from the ashes is not an easy process. It is not a smooth, linear journey. but a tumultuous one, filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. There will be days when they feel the weight of their old ego trying to pull them back into its grip, when they feel the temptation to rebuild the walls of self-importance and superiority. It is in these moments that the real work begins. It is in these moments that they must dig deep, find the strength to resist the pull of the old self, and continue walking forward, even when the path seems unclear. And you, the one who has punctured their ego, you must understand that your role in this process is not to continue the destruction, but to stand as a witness to their growth. You have done the hard part. You have shattered the illusion. Now, it is up to them to decide how they will rebuild. You can't force them to change. You can't dictate how long the process will take. But what you can do is remain steadfast in your own truth. Remain committed to your own journey of self-discovery and authenticity. In doing so, you serve as a living example of what is possible. You show them that it is not only possible to rise from the ashes, but that it is the only way to truly live a meaningful and fulfilling life. As they begin to rebuild themselves, they will likely face resistance from the world around them. People who were once drawn to their inflated ego may begin to pull away, unable to relate to the person they are becoming. They may face criticism, judgment, and even rejection from those who were invested in the old self, the self that was proud, dominant, and superior. But this is a part of the process. It is a necessary part of the journey, because when we rise from the ashes, we no longer fit into the mold that others have created for us. We no longer live to meet their expectations, but instead, we begin to live according to our own truth. And when we do this, we inevitably outgrow the people and situations that were tied to the old version of ourselves. This is painful, but it is also liberating, because in the end, we are not here to please others, but to honor our own journey, our own truth, and our own path. In time, as they continue to rise from the ashes, they will begin to experience a new sense of peace, a sense of inner calm that comes from knowing who they truly are. They will no longer be swayed by the opinions of others, no longer be driven by the need for external validation. They will begin to see themselves not as a collection of roles, titles, or accomplishments, but as a living, breathing being with inherent worth and dignity. And this is where true power lies. It is not in the ego, not in the false image we project to the world, but in the quiet, unshakable knowledge that we are enough, just as we are. But the journey does not end there. As they rise, they will begin to see the world through new eyes. They will no longer be trapped in the small, limited perspective of the ego, but will instead experience life from a place of expanded consciousness. They will be more compassionate, more empathetic, and more connected to the world around them. The walls that once separated them from others, the walls of pride, of judgment, of superiority, will begin to crumble, and in their place, they will find a deep, abiding connection with all of humanity. And in this space of connection, they will find true freedom. Because freedom is not the ability to do whatever we want, but the ability to be fully ourselves, without fear, without shame, and without the need to prove anything to anyone. Freedom is found in the willingness to let go of the ego and embrace the truth of who we are in all of our raw, unpolished, imperfect beauty. And when we do this, we experience a freedom that is beyond anything the ego can offer. A freedom that is rooted in love, in authenticity, and in the deep knowing that we are all connected, all part of the same beautiful, flawed, and wonderful human experience. You have given them the opportunity to rise. You have shown them the way. And now, it is up to them to take that step. Will they rise from the ashes of their former selves, or will they cling to the remnants of their shattered ego? The choice is theirs. But no matter what, you can stand firm in the knowledge that you have offered them the most valuable gift of all, the chance to live a life of truth, of authenticity, and of true freedom. And that is a gift that will reverberate throughout their life, shaping them in ways they cannot yet understand. For in the end, it is only by rising from the ashes that we can truly come alive. In the end, rising from the ashes of our former selves is not just about shedding the old ego, but about embracing the truth of who we really are beneath the illusions we've created. It is a journey of courage, vulnerability, and transformation, one that requires letting go of the false self and stepping into the raw, authentic version of who we were always meant to be. By puncturing the inflated ego, you've opened the door for growth and change, offering a chance to rebuild from the ashes. Whether they choose to rise or remain trapped in the past, the opportunity has been given, and with it comes the possibility of true freedom, peace, and a deeper connection to themselves and the world around them.